Welcome back to the Don't Write That Book podcast, where you can learn how to write your bestseller and own your authorship. Follow along with us as we give you an insider's view of the book industry. Now, here are your hosts, myself, Mike Michalowicz, and AJ Harper. We adjusted our cameras. I was watching an episode, but we're at different heights, and I had mine too zoomed in, so I was this mega head, and you were a floating head. Now,
you know what? Now I'm like a white pasty, and you look tan.
Yeah, well, I was in Florida. So my roommate from college, my freshman year roommate, that's why, because I am tan, invited me down to his house in Florida for the Super Bowl. And I brought my wife and some other college buddies brought their spouses, and we were outside the whole time. So
most watched halftime show ever.
It was awesome.
It's joyous.
And that was a real marriage that happened. I mean, it was staged, but it was real.
Yes, but it was like a joyous, jubilant.
I think it might have been my favorite halftime show. I was so into it. I thought the game itself was boring.
I don't watch the game, but I have to dispute you on the favorite halftime show. There's
Michael Jackson, maybe? What was your favorite?
No. Prince.
Janet Jackson with the wardrobe malfunction?
Prince.
I don't remember Prince's. I remember the infamous wardrobe malfunction.
No. Hang on. You have to, at some point, watch it. You can watch his performance. It rained. And he still kept performing. And he did Purple Rain in the rain. And they were saying they wanted to change something right before he went out because they were afraid. He's like in these 6-inch heels and he's going to dance all over a slick stage. And he said, make it rain harder. Yes.
That's awesome.
It's the best.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Okay, good. Yes, sorry.
No, I mean,
I just get a little riled up.
I love it. I love it. We're flying with no safety net. I forgot to hit record locally. I don't think you're recording locally, and we're just going to go. We're just going to go with it because this is the main recording we capture.
We're doing it.
I want to thank you for last night. Now, when people hear this, last night would have been, I don't know, 2 months prior, but last night you invited me to do a live reading in front of your author audience. Mm-hmm. How did people get in that group in the first place? Or did people sign up for that, or how do they get into your group?
Yes, it's called Monday Night Reading. It's a free event. I do them all throughout the year. And so if you just have to either check out my social media or be on my mailing list, I also post all of them on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. So you can watch past Monday Night Readings with a ton of wonderful authors.
If someone listening in right now wants to get on the list, and I'm telling you, you want to get on the list, where do they go?
ajharper.com. Okay. Super easy.
ajharper.com. So go there now. So it was great. You know what I liked was Kristen Wheeler, who listened to our show. She shared that heartfelt message. So just seeing her on the screen briefly and waving stuff was amazing. I really have come now to appreciate this show is something that people are listening to when driving the long haul or working out, are just in a moment of quiet and are just absorbing this stuff in. So what a privilege for us to be in someone's ear, an earwig, if you will, during those times. That's remarkable. Also, I noticed I get pumped up. I couldn't wait to get to work this morning. The reason I was late, a business acquaintance of mine passed away unexpectedly.
All right.
So thank you. But it's shocking, a plane crash. And there was just some communication back and forth this morning before I could get out. Mm-hmm. But I look forward to coming in and doing this. It's just fun. It's just fun.
Kristen, by the way, gave us permission to share that email that she sent.
Do you want to read that?
I do want to read it. This is an email that we received through the Don't Write That Book email line. It says, Dear AJ and Mike, there are so many things I could thank you for. Your generosity in sharing what's real and relevant, your alchemy, your banter, your expertise. You give me confidence and keep my eyes on things I need to know. And there's something more personal. Your podcast got me through late night drives in the months before my dad died. He had ALS. I adored him and I was his person. Dad was in and out of the hospital and I often slept on the cot next to him, but sometimes I would drive home on a dark, accident-prone highway. One time, my husband said, "It's late and you sound tired and teary. You okay driving?" Sniffling, I said, "Yes, I've got Mike and AJ." He knew what I meant, that I'd be listening to you two. From then on, when I was driving at night with without my husband, he would say, "Okay, be careful. You got Mike and AJ?" And the answer was always yes. Thank you for being such a comfort and for engaging me in the world of my dreams when I had so little energy for anything but my dad. As a member of AJ's community, I so often hear how much your episodes mean to us. Please keep it up. On another note, your live show, I'll do what I can. I love it. I love it. Super fans are holding out.
All right, Kristen, drag along your husband too. He sounds amazing. What a supportive fella. Both of you come to our show. Now I've got two people. That touches me. And it just makes me think about how important this work is beyond just the information, is the connection.
Yeah.
So, hey, we're going to do the big book launch debrief. Today we're recording this. It's February 17th. The book launched on January 27th. So we're roughly 3 weeks away. And we wanted to do a breakdown of basically what's working, what's not working, but not just with this one episode. We're going to go, I think we're going to do 3 episodes.
We have maybe even 4.
Okay.
Because we're going to do an overview today and then do some deep dives on areas that I think everyone always has a lot of questions about.
Okay. Would you mind leading us through this and asking or saying?
I think I'm basically asking you about, because, just so everybody understands, Mike and I co-write and collaborate, and I'm very involved in the front end. And then when it comes to marketing, I'm more like sitting on the windowsill watching what y'all are doing. I've been to the meetings with Page 2.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you ask me to do little things to help you. And then, of course, we help promote. But it's your team and the Page 2 team. So I've got a lot of questions. Okay, so I want to just get an overview of reminding people what you did for your launch. And I'm just going to go through some buckets that most nonfiction authors incorporate into their launch. So influencers. What did you do with influencers this time around?
I started networking 18 years ago. And I do say that, with the intent of being funny, but also it's the reality is you can never start your relationships with influencers too soon and be of too much service, I believe, to other influencers. So what I did with influencers specifically for the asks was I did ask for them to promote the book, but historically I would go to authors for the last launches and say, "Hey, on this day, would you send out this email?" And there was lots of yeses. I think this being the 10th or 11th book or whatever, I'm going to the coffers too often with the same ask. So we reframed it and said, what can we do that benefits them? The first thing I did was identified who the major influencers are in the personal finance space and said, what can I contribute to them? And I can't remember whose idea it was. You know who it was? Another fan of the show, Michael Bungay-Stanier, who we talked about yesterday, who sent us a beautiful accolade, and I can read the text maybe on our next episode. But he goes, why don't you include those authors in your book, particularly the audiobook? What I did is I interviewed Ramit Sethi, Gene Chatsky, Tiffany Liche, the list goes on, J.L. Collins, and interviewed them on their perspectives of personal finance, regardless if it was complementary or contrary to the money habits strategies. At the end of each chapter in the audiobook, I have an interview with them. The idea was to give the audience an expanding view. And it was so interesting. I've already gotten emails from people saying, thank you for including all these perspectives. I love that personal finance authors are working together to elevate our finances, not independently with their own dedicated system. So that was really cool feedback. But I remember Ramit specifically saying, hey man, thanks for including me. I really want to promote you. he did the biggest promotion or support of me ever. He had me go on his show. He had his live audience there, hundreds and hundreds of people, and then they record and they distribute to their thousands on a list. And he said, just teach the money habit, man. And people bought the book. So
I saw that. I saw it in his email that you were doing that.
It's huge because for us, this is the first book that doesn't speak to the entrepreneurial space alone. This is a break from this. This is a broader new audience. And therefore 90% have never heard of the work we've done together. They don't know any of the books that I have authored. And this was an opportunity to get into new audiences. Another fellow, Justin Bennett, stepped up in the same way. He's in the thing. Tiffany Aliche promoted it. So Jean Chatzky, who I didn't know until I invited her to do this, promoted it. Now she's coming to our authors meetup down in Nashville this year. That was the big change with influencers this go around.
So I think I'm going to speak for our listeners and ask you some really hard facts about it, though. How many influencers did you approach and how many influencers did you end up getting a yes from?
12 to be included in the book. I'm sorry, 13 or 14 to be included in the book, 12 accepted. There was a couple folks that either just didn't respond. I don't think anyone declined, honestly. To me, the big get was Jean Chatzky because I've never met her before. There was no reason to support me. She was not, I take it back. She was somewhat on the periphery familiar with me because when I talked to her, she's like, oh, I think I've heard of Profit First before. So she had some awareness of it, but it was an out of the blue reach. But here's what's interesting. Once you know one person in the space, you know two. So there was instant familiarity when I said, I have Ramit Sethi's doing this and Tiffany Aliche. And she's, oh, those are awesome authors. So she came in.
Do you have, but those aren't the only influencers you ended up asking for support in some capacity, are they?
No. But I didn't go to, there's some people I go to regularly, like say Don Miller, who, I'm just great friends with. I'm going through Nashville in about 3 months and he just reached out and said, hey, you want the house? I mean, he's the most generous guy. He has a guest house. You want the house? Norm, I go to him and he would just say, absolutely, I'll promote you. Like, it's a no brainer. And I would absolutely do the same for him. But I just felt that I've gone to the coffers too much. It's too tired. And it's a little bit, maybe it's a little bit of a reserve. Like, I feel that I can go to him now a month or two from now and say, hey, do you mind giving me a little booster shot? And I think that may serve the book well. I want to see how it does on its own with this new community before I start making a push to the old guard, I think.
Nice. I like that. I like that approach. Okay, so what changed for you for bonus offers? So let's talk about it. A bonus offer is something that you're giving readers in exchange for purchasing usually multiple copies, but sometimes we'll give bonus offers even for one copy. So what's different about your bonus offers this time around?
Let me rewind because I think you're just hit on something important, is the why. Why do we want to have a big launch in the first place, which bonus offers, influencers, all these different things support. And there is a critical mass. There's a certain percentage of people, and we were talking about this offline, but there's a certain percentage of people that buy your book who will never read your book. I mean, look at your own shelf. I have books. I just started reading A Brave New World. I've been sitting on that book for 2 years. And I should probably have been sitting on it since kindergarten, honestly. I think that's when right. That book is prophetic. It's crazy. I'll finish it actually today on my flight. There's a certain percentage of books that people buy that sit on their shelf. And I do believe it's the majority of their books. They're purchased. At least that's in my case. So, I'm using myself as a data set of one, but there's a certain percentage of people that get a book, they'll consume it right away because that's who they are, or that hits the nail on the head for their moment in life or whatever. I think that's the minority of people. So realizing if we sell 1,000 books that say, I'm just picking a number out of the air, say 20% will actually read the book in short order. While you've sold 1,000 books, for example, you have 200 that are being consumed. Those 200 people are your potential marketing arm going forward. So the more books you can sell in the beginning, the more early readers you're going to get, and the more potential you're going to have super fans that'll start promoting. So when it came to bonus offers, historically, I've never done a one book bonus, meaning you buy a book or buy multiple books, you go to a dedicated web page we have, and it says, if you bought 3, you can get this. But if you bought 7, you get this plus. If you bought 12, you get this plus plus. I've never had a 1. We've always started off at 3. The reason is the buying dynamic is for my books that are retailed MSRP $30 or less, 3 times 30 is $90. It's under that $100 threshold. Now, that's a very entrepreneurial mindset. For entrepreneurs, a $100 or less business expense is almost a no-brainer. For an individual, a $100 or thereabouts expense, that's a big expense. Do I really want to spend $100 on a book where an entrepreneur says, oh, it's just for my business? So we said, we're going to do a 1 book bonus. We had, Kelsey shared the numbers, and now I may mess this up, 500 bulk orders, bonus orders, I should say, because of those, I think 300 were 1 book purchases. And the bonus they got, which I thought was really cool, is we call it AI and the Guy. We set up a dedicated AI chatbot to teach the money habit, or at least give guidance on the money habit so you can interface with the book. And I think that was a big appeal.
I think it's great to do a 1 book bonus, especially if you're trying to get pre-orders. And I love that you chose a digital option. I think that's critical. So
yeah, it's very inexpensive for us to deliver. We do the pay for the platform that we use. It's called Delphi. If anyone wants to check it out, DELPHI.ai. And the benefit is it's a motivating factor to get the book then. We ran the bonus campaign from Tuesday, the book launched, to Sunday at midnight, and then it stopped. And it's not surprising, but it is interesting that on the day 1, there's a surge of demand, and on the last day, there's a surge of demand. So it's like a U shape in demand. But we sent out this final notice saying it's going away, and you got to take it away. We took it away. And I got feedback on, oh my gosh, this AI is awesome, because we've been using other capacities. I think we went up to 55 books, and we did have people purchase that. But the people that were buying like 55 books were clearly entrepreneurs buying it for their teams. So what we did is we matched up as you went higher levels, knowing that if you had like up to 3 or 4 books, it may be family, maybe you and your spouse, your partner, maybe someone else in the family, kids or something. But at a certain point, we knew, not many people have a family of 55 folks. So, and I'm sure someone does, but so with the 55, it was like, oh, this is clearly a business purchase. So we oriented the bonuses to business owners.
And then are these people that are buying direct from you or proving that they bought it elsewhere?
They prove they bought it elsewhere. The thing we did, Leslie and the team were really on top of this, was supporting multiple buying outlets. Mm-hmm. I went heavy on bookshop.org, which ironically kind of burned me. So we want to encourage the indie bookstores. So if you go to bookshop.org, I believe they source it through indie stores. Well, the problem was the supply distribution. Even though we did a 15,000 book print run the first run, that doesn't mean like they're evenly balanced out. And if you buy it through bookshop.org, you're going to have 15,000 copies. Or if people shift to Barnes & Nobles, you can get there. No, like Amazon, the 800-pound gorilla, gets their supply of 10,000 books sitting there. That's their supply. And Barnes & Nobles gets their supply of 2,000. And the indie bookstores maybe collectively had like 50 books. Like it's a few bookstores that decide to buy it. Is it worth the risk? We depleted that instantly. So I went to backorder status, which is kind of good and kind of bad. The good is like, hey, we're moving books. The bad is it dissuades a consumer from buying it. So Leslie and Andrea prudently had set us up to encourage people to default to bookshop.org, but we had the other links, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, all ready to go. We would have people then submit the receipt wherever they purchased it. And then our team behind the scenes, it was Amy, but our team behind the scenes was from processing the orders and sending out the bonuses. Nice.
So what about podcasts? In the past, you've done it a bunch of different ways. You've done a ton of them right at launch. Then the last couple of books, you weren't doing quite as many of them at launch. What was your strategy this time?
Yeah, this time we did fewer but bigger. Now, the Ramit was an example. Jean Chatzky had me on her podcast. So I spoke specifically to that space. There was and still is ones I'm doing that are in the entrepreneurial space, because we're telling entrepreneurs that you need to fix your home finances. And if this works for you, realize your team probably needs to fix their home finances too, and you can be a gateway for that. But the one thing we didn't put in here is we started a newsletter exclusively for the money habit. It's called Money Simplified, I think. I wrote a full year's worth of content starting about 3-4 months prior to the launch. And we invite people to subscribe. That has been big. It was a way for people to start getting this information, this knowledge early on, little tidbits and pieces. And then we use that newsletter when the launch hit to say the book is now available. My main list now has 195,000 subscribers. We just added 2,000 last week. And I can give we should talk about strategies, how to build a list. So I believe comparatively to most authors, that's a very large list, but that doesn't mean that's an engaged list, and it may not want this specific content. So we invited our entire list saying, hey, if you want to get weekly money tips, sign up here. That list, I think, is somewhere between 2,000 and 5,000. Andrew knows the exact number, but that's the list that's super engaged. The open rates are over like 50%. And sure enough, those are the ones when we announced it, where a lot of clicks were happening.
So how many podcasts do you think that you were like a dozen, 20?
Yeah, I want to say in that range, like probably 25 max, where other podcasts I said, I want to beat the 100 podcast appearances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're so hard to measure. I think there's a long tail to podcasts. You know, the number one episode we have for this show is our very first episode of Don't Write That Book. And why is that the number one episode? Well, first of all, it's been out there the most. But when people discover this, they rewind and they'll start binging. And many people binge from the beginning.
They do binge. They binge so hard on this show.
Bingers rule. And we're not the only podcast that experiences that. So when you, our listeners, appear on someone's podcast, you may have that episode get a hit a year later. It's likely. And when it goes live. So there's a surge when it goes live, but then there's this long tail that keeps getting hits. So I don't know the return on these podcasts. And it's hard to measure now, but I think they're going to be significant. The other thing we did is our own podcast. So I have a podcast called Becoming Self-Made. Hit it. We just renewed the season. So now we're actually have a scheduling call today. Interviewed Jesse and Emily Cole. They're on the cover of The Money Habit, but The Money Habit's mentioned in that show, and that helps tremendously too, having your own podcast.
I'm happy to hear that renewed. It looks like, to me, that seems like what you should be doing.
Yeah, it's such a joy project. Did you know? I don't know if you made the introduction. 1827 Beekman or something. They make soap.
Yeah, they're here in New York.
Yeah, in New York. So I'm going up to their place. I talked with one of the owners. I don't recall his name at the moment. Love the guy. Funny, great energy, effervescence, and just the story is redonkulous. So we're going up there to reveal the story, and I'm going to be milking some goats. So.
That's cool. When are you doing that?
We have to wait till the weather warms up. So I think it's going to happen in May.
Let me know. If I'm around, I might want to come and just watch.
Oh, it is the most fun day. Yeah. And I want it to be a little bit like a Mike Rowe episode of Dirty Jobs, where I kind of...
You want to get in there with the goats?
Yeah, I want to have like, what do they call those things? The overalls, but like rubber ones that go up to your chin. I want to be covered with mud.
You want to be... They have great hair products, right?
Do they have gray hair products?
Yeah, I was talking to Jen Kem about it. Yeah.
Do they have regrow your hair products? I'll take all of it. I'll take all of it.
Okay, so we've got speaking, your own podcast. Oh, I was doing speaking next.
Oh,
so speaking, you've been speaking to test the content for a while.
Yeah.
But now how does speaking work in terms of sales and the launch itself?
Speaking has been the biggest change in promotion. I got a report from page 2, and there's all these bulk orders. And there are events I'm speaking at. On average, the average event will order 100 books, irregardless of how big the group is. So if it's a 500 people I'm speaking to, or 50 or 1,000, most of them are ordering 100. it's a no-brainer for their budget. It's an extra $2,000 or $3,000, which most speakers have a travel buyout. So if I speak for, I'm just going to say a number. If I spoke for $10,000 a year, on top of that, I probably have a travel buyout, which covers my flights and so forth. And that's say $5,000 or $2,500. Most of these events understand that there's a speaking fee plus a travel component. So we say, listen, we're going to eat the travel component, and we'll just swap that to book. So $2,000 to $3,000 budget is a no-brainer for many events. Well, that works out to be $100. What they do at the event is they say, first 100 people to arrive, that's how they do it. First 100 people to get there, get a copy of Mike's book. What's interesting is I'm not necessarily speaking on the money habit at all these events. I will allude to it, but most of the events this is actually an interesting change recently, most are profit first, but now many are best ofs. Like this, I'm still speaking with entrepreneurial groups, hands down the most. When I say the most, like now I can't think of a single event where I'm talking to employees of a company. Maybe one event this year, actually, I can think of. So I'm still speaking with entrepreneurs, and they want to know how to grow their business healthily. So the insert into the best of speech is your team has financial needs too. And if they're worried about it, that worry becomes your problem because they're distracted. How do you fix that? How do you help your colleagues?
Okay. But what about reaching the rest of the audience? That's not so you're speaking for, this is all about your traditional audience.
Yeah, that's to be determined. Like I don't know yet.
Okay. So it was not part of the launch.
Pardon
me? Reaching that audience in a speaking capacity was not part of the launch.
It was not part of the launch. No. Okay. But I think you're the one who said, like, someone said, like, when you introduce a book, your launch is for 10 more years. Like every day is launch day. So that's definitely a spacing.
Let's not freak everyone out. Every day is not launch day. Your launch day was a 12-hour adventure.
Oh, well, that's the most unique thing.
So it's no, but it's just, let's keep selling for.
Yeah, keep selling. Right. So I'm going to look for those types of speaking engagements. It was Simon Sinek who said, you can build a platform or you can build a product. Doing both is really hard. A product is something like a platform would be like an Amazon. They sell stuff and you can make a product for it. But making a platform and selling a product too is very difficult. So which one do you want to have? I have a product, which is the speech. I could try to build that community of people that are looking for that, but that's very difficult. So it's easier to access an established platform, and the platform has to benefit from the product. Like, do they want me to speak when that add value to them? So I just have to actively seek that stuff out. It exists. Usually the rule of thumb, just one last thought, is start off with small groups. So there's big financial experts out there that have large platforms. And I think the natural tendency is, that's who I should be with, and I should be speaking at their events and so forth. The reality is, until you've proven significance and that you bring value to them, why would they want you? It makes no sense. Speak to the small groups. Where the smallest groups that are meeting up and wanting this kind of content. Speak there and build your way up. So I'm going to do the same thing. Doesn't matter how established you are somewhere else. This is a new start for me in speaking.
So what are some other things that you did that were different? One of the things I noticed that you did is you did a big push. You sold galleys.
Oh, yeah.
That was early on. You did a 250 run of galleys, collector's editions that helped you to bring in funds for marketing.
Yeah,
I
was
believe.
looking to see by the books around me. I don't.
But that was mostly to raise marketing dollars, if I'm right about that.
But it builds enthusiasm. Yeah, so it was to raise marketing dollars. So a thing I do that is really unique, I invite other authors to do this, is the galleys or ARCs. And I don't know if they're the same thing. ARC is advanced reader copy.
Well, technically, they're not.
Okay.
But if I explained it to you, it would be such a geeky conversation. Okay.
So we got ARCs, advanced reader copies, and they're historically intended for media distribution to get other influencers of some capacity interested in the book and talking about it. And it does work. So some of these podcast appearances I did do, the host said, would you please send the book in advance so I can read it or skim it? Well, with our publishing platform, page 2 simplifies our imprint. We can do unlimited arcs. I mean, you got to pay for the production. In the traditional publishing, the traditional publisher pays for it, so they limit you 100, 200. You can ask for more, but they limit it. And I invite you to ask for more. I remember with Penguin once, I can't remember which book it was, but we got 1,000 arcs because we asked. And they're like, no one asked for that. I'm like, well, we do. Well, what we do with these is we will limit, say, 250 of these to be a first production run. So they're literally the first ones out of the box, arcs, and then we stamp them as authentic and certified. And we tell people we have a collector's edition, which is the arc. It's autographed. It's the first version released before the book is coming out, which is usually 3 months away, minimally 6 months away, maximally. It has content that won't make it to the final cut. So there's errors and typos and changes. So you can actually see a little bit of the rawness in it. And even some sections, in rare occasions, are excluded in the final print run. And we were selling those. It was funny. Historically, we sold those for, I think, $50. I say, Kelsey, why aren't we selling for like $100? Because that's kind of a buying threshold. Maybe not for individuals, but for entrepreneurs. And that's our main audience. So she changed it to that number, and we sold just the same amount of volume. We sold 200 something books. That's a lot of money. And we use that for marketing the book to support other purchase bulk buys and stuff, where we're distributing the books to people that want them. Yeah.
I would just say, if you're listening and you're thinking, oh, that's a cool idea, I think the reason you can do that, Mike, is because you have super fans. So
yeah, 100%.
If you don't have no platform and you have no following, I don't think that's a strategy for you.
No, your mom may buy one. Maybe your dad.
Maybe.
So I would say 80% of our buyers have bought press books. So listen, some of these people have displays of these books at their home. And it shows that these books are significant to them. But I think what it is a book on a shelf, just like I have behind me, is a reminder of knowledge you've gained and commitment you've made. I don't think these books, mine, are very much about me because I'm a selfish bastard. But I'm displaying here because I'm marketing my books if you're watching on YouTube. But people that display them at home isn't because like, oh, I'm such a fan of Mike. Mike's an amazing human. No, what it is I've made a commitment to myself to be financially independent. And that I've read this book and I'm doing it. And that's my reminder. That book sits there because it's a reminder of knowledge I've gained. It's a commitment device, to be honest. So I would say there's a group of super fans that display multiple books of mine because they've used those books to have an impact in their life and they want to stick with it.
You remember that story I told you about the person I was on a call with, just like a connection call like you do for networking, and she saw that I have Clockwork, Profit First, and The Money Habit up, but I think I had Pumpkin Plan or All In or something up. It's always behind me on my shelf so you can see it. But she said, I see you're also a fan of Mike Michalowicz. I'm like, lady, do a little Google.
Do a little Googling.
Recall.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
Anyway, that was not, the conversation went south after that, for sure.
I remember that now.
Yeah. Okay. So anything else that really stands out? We did this differently for this launch in terms of getting pre-orders or during launch week.
Yeah. There was
a 12-hour event. We're going to get to that.
Oh, the 12-hour event. Yeah. Which the insights were fascinating from that. So we did get bulk buys. These were businesses buying it for their offices. Here, actually, I got this note from Aaron. I don't know if you can see it here. It says, can you please sign these 650 book plates? So I have a box here. Here's the box. And here's the book plates. I've been signing for the last week all these different book plates because that's a bulk order from a business that wants every book autographed. What's interesting about a book plate is you don't have to have the actual physical book. You just sign these little plates and they stick it in there. So it's a more efficient way to do that. So bulk orders to corporations had some effect, some positive effect. Maybe I'm prematurely sharing this, but the numbers of book sales we have, it is really hard to get. I was actually emailing with Leslie yesterday at page 2, and she's like, well, we believe that the number of sales in Amazon is somewhere between 1,800 units to 2,500 at Amazon, for example. Like there is 700 books that necessarily aren't accounted for or aren't reported yet or whatever this is. Well, we have bulk orders. We have direct orders. We have all the electronic copies and so forth. So my belief is the all in from the launch was somewhere between 7,000 and maybe 8,500 books when counting all formats, digital, electronic, and print. But we won't have the numbers. I thought we'd have the numbers by now. It's taking a lot of time to assemble that.
Let me stop you there because we were going to get into the metric. Since you started talking about it, I remember at launch, you thought it was a different number. So what were you tracking at launch when you were saying, oh, we hit this threshold?
Yeah. So what we do is we were assigning our bulk orders. We knew prior to the launch, we had over 5,000 bulk orders. We only got reported numbers of print books to us, but we also know that correlates on a percentage basis. For me, audiobooks actually outsell print books. So we're like, okay, so if we sell, for every one print book we sell, we're likely selling 1.05 audiobooks, and probably 10 to 15%, maybe even 20% of the print books are electronic. So we weren't getting you can't get that information live. So we're integrating those numbers and giving our best guess to what the number was.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna actually. Let's get to the rest of the metrics later. There anything else besides the 12-hour deal for launch that you sticks out? Like we did this differently this time.
I don't think so. Oh yeah, of course. A massive thing we did. I did this with Fix This Next. Is because we have a certification behind this. So we have money habit mentors. So people can go to Profit First Professionals. That's the organization I'm a co-owner in, and we license out the right to teach Profit First. Now we're integrating the licensing of the money habit. And we invited Profit First Professionals or other, if they wanted to get an early certification, they could do it by buying bulk books and get their name inserted in the book.
Smart. So they were already certified, and this is an additional certification.
If they chose it, yeah. We had, I want to say 15 to 20 people sign up for that. They're listed in the first print run of the books. And some people bought for lifetime printing that they're in every single book. And some people just bought the first print run. So you could join a higher quantity and you get the certification integrated. That was actually was a massive form of distribution. I did a live book reading at a local bookstore just last week, or earlier this week. It's called Chapter 1 in Mendham or Marsh Plains. But one of our certified people, Kim Logsden, showed up. She bought 100 books. What I think was interesting is when you get people to invest in a certification, particularly early on, they're also vested in the success of it. And Kim, she's amazing. And some of the other folks were active promoters beyond what I was doing because they want it to be successful. So that was a really effective strategy too.
Awesome. And so then you also did the big 12-hour book event. Now I want to just pause for everybody to listen. We're doing a deep dive on bulk buys. We're going to do a deeper dive on influencers, specifically how do you make the ask, which is a request we got from listeners. And we also talked about this on an earlier podcast. We would do this for you. So we're going to combine that. And we're going to do another deep dive on the 12-hour book launch day.
Yeah.
So there's 3 more deep dive episodes on this launch. So this is just a high level overview.
Yeah. So the 12-hour launch was from 8 a.m. Eastern time to 8 p.m. Eastern time on the launch day. I interviewed or had present over 50 individuals from my network, some personal finance experts. But I think the most appealing thing was people that were not financial experts, but had a perspective. I remember Kelly Ruda talking just about the mindset. You came on, talked about the journey of writing a book and invited those influencers to bring in their audiences. We had, there's so many numbers, it's hard to remember. I want to say minimally 2,000, but I think it was more like 3,000 registrants maybe even 4,000 registrants for that. During the show, the live show, we were pacing around 500 or 600 live viewers at any given time. Then we had a huge tech crash. We'll talk about that in the detailed episode.
I was on when it happened.
You were on when it happened. That's right. Yeah, actually, you were the person on when it happened, and we recovered. And to me, that was the rallying moment. Like, you put all this work in, and it falls apart. You have two choices. You can say, you know what, we've done everything we could. Maybe we're done. Or you can say, no, this is something we're going to see through, and we're going to do it bigger and better. And the team bounced back with such an extraordinary effort. It was unbelievable. We'll talk about
that. So let's talk about the team then. Let's shift gears then and talk about team. Who was on your team? So I really want everyone to take in that I think you have two teams. You have your own team at the McCalliverse offices, but then there's also the Page 2 team, and the Page 2 team is way more invested and engaged than a typical publisher.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding? Like,
it's like a night and day situation, right?
My best launch with Penguin, 2 weeks after the launch, I got a bobblehead in the mail. We sent you a little gift. Like, no kid, no joke. It was a bobblehead of me. And that was their participation. And listen, I'm not saying that to be negative or facetious, but that's the truth.
And a lot of no's. Every time you would ask them for stuff.
Oh, yeah, everything was a no.
Ow.
Yeah, listen, I pushed Page 2, the hybrid publisher, and they gave me a couple no's too.
They did, but they gave me Canadian no's. Like, I was on the calls and...
Oh my God, how they danced around.
You're just not really wanting to say no. Wanting to make sure you felt that your idea was good.
I know. But they were extraordinarily supportive. They were on every single call. They were coordinating with our side. When a publisher works in concert with an author, you can move mountains. And that's what happened for us. The launch would not been as successful. So they had a dedicated individual as Leslie Boodle on their side, the Page 2 side. And we had a dedicated individual here, Andrea Conway, and the two were in constant contact on what are we doing? How can we support this?
But who else was on the different teams? So Kelsey from your team, Andrea was dedicated to it.
Yeah, so Andrea Conway on our side leads the marketing efforts for, we call it the McCalliverse, like all the McCallowitz brand. But for the launch of the book, this was her primary project. Backing her is Kelsey for more of the technical integration, the logistical stuff. Now, Kelsey is the president of our company, but handles logistics. Amy was handling fulfillment. Jenna was and always manages our copywriting, communications, response to readers and users. Erin leads any of the scheduling and organization, which is a bear during a launch period. Like, oh, Mike, you have to be on this podcast, and you got to be here, and you got to do that. Adela was handling our podcast promotions and media, just keeping kind of the engine running behind the scenes. Don't write that book. She was working with Laura and the team, Sade on your side. And then that was just our immediate employed team. Corday was doing some work. She's also works for us behind the scenes. But then there's also the extended contractors. So there's this guy who's named Guy, who's doing all the web media and stuff under the tutelage of Andrea. So there's a big team.
And then Marco.
Marco was awesome. Marco did the coordination of Marco and Aiden McKay and Marco Cantani. Gosh, so many names. They were doing the coordination of the 12-day event, all the logistics leading up to that. That's herding cats. And then on the Page 2 side, but I don't want people, my fear here is not people like, oh, you need 1,000 people on your team. Everyone's part-time on my team. Secondly, except for Kelsey. Secondly, you can just do elements of this. This is 18 years in the works. So this is just the team is built, and that's the size of it. I think
it's important for them to see. Because here's what happens is if you don't have the kind of numbers that you get, and a person is kind of, putting this together with DIYing it or whatever, you need to understand that you might not be able to get those numbers if you don't have that big team. So it's not a reason to freak out if you don't get the numbers. I just want people to have some realism.
Yeah. That's true.
And plus, you can get a lot of team members if you maybe get interns, work with students. Like there's options.
Yeah, Aiden, for example, was an intern for us. Marco was a contractor. He came on just for this one project.
Yeah, so then it's not just Leslie on the team. Whenever I was on that call, there was at least 4 people from page 2.
Oh, yeah. So the most actively engaged was with Ronnie. She was our liaison for just the book's creation and seeing it through. Leslie led the marketing. Trina and Jesse, but Trina was involved in the marketing too. I met with her face to face a few times. And then they had, I can't remember all the names. So someone who was there and left.
A couple new people too.
Some new people. But yeah, they had a team there. Basically the publisher is handling fulfillment, distribution, getting the word out to certain outlets that we don't have as easy access to, editorial content, libraries. And we're doing more of the grassroots, the author campaign. And you want those two working in synchronization. I think one great indicator that was working well was as we're approaching, there's a lot of nuance around how many books should be printed, where they should be distributed. And we didn't get it 100% right, but we got way righter than we would have. And now then emergency, but we were already prepared for this. Before the launch, we said we have to do an emergency expedited print run. So we are about a week away from the launch, and we get a call from page 2 saying, we're suggesting another 10,000 books printed within a week of the launch. And they were 100% right. And we did that. And so now we're
it's so helpful because they're tracking that all the time.
Yeah.
They're tweaking that all the time so they can get as close to accurate as possible.
Exactly.
They probably would have said to you back in the day, Mike, what are you doing getting 20,000 copies of the Toilet Paper Entrepreneur? They would
Isn't that funny?
I was the lone voice in that. I was like, I remember going home to my wife after that and saying, this dude's
crazy.
Yeah, this dude is bonkers.
And probably the best thing I ever did. The wrongest thing I've ever done.
But not everyone has your stamina. Most people would have ended up burning those books, honestly.
Think that's a shame. That's true. No
way. Not typical.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So our first print run for this book was just to give you context. I've been in this for, I'm saying 18 years. I don't even know if that's the right number. Maybe I'm just picking some out of the year.
Well, we've been working together for 17 years.
Okay. So 18 years. So it is 18 years. So this book run, the first print run was 15,000. Now we're doing an additional 10. So within the first basically the book's existence, and 2 weeks later we printed more. So within that time span, 25,000 books have been made available. It's just over what Toilet Paper Entrepreneur did 18 years ago with all my own money and panicked. So it's just funny. It shows you how hard it is to move books.
So want to get into a little bit more of the metrics. So you told us about the total sales. Did you meet the goal you set for launch?
No. 10,000 units is what we wanted to sell for the first 2 weeks. And I think it's best case 8,500, worst case 7,000. So no, we didn't. We surpassed our 10,000 has a reason behind it, but we did surpass our floor, which was 5,000.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
You already kind of told us about the breakdown of the sales in terms of how many were bulk sales. We kind of already got that.
Yeah.
You won't know necessarily all the different breakdowns yet in terms of format with the way that everything reports. It's such a skawonkus. It's just like it's dizzying.
You know what? I got to now acknowledge the traditional folks like Penguin. Macmillan also does this, but Penguin, their reporting is freaking good. Like, I didn't know how hard it is to accumulate this stuff. So I was jaded. Like, Penguin can do it. I can do it better. And it is really hard. There's so many different reporting sources. It's convoluted. There's books that are put into inventory and then could be returned. Like, so it's much harder than I thought in getting at what the actual numbers are.
So is there anything in light of that you didn't quite make your goal that you would have wanted to do differently now? Like, what do you say? I probably should have done this or that.
I probably done more with bulk sales, for sure. I think I wouldn't have done this, but it would have got me over the goal. Is that the call in the favors again to the folks I know, like Michael and Don and Jillian, like all these different people and say, hey, can you help me out? But that would be calling in a favor. It'd almost be an artificial push over that hill. So I don't know if I wanted that. The bulk sales, I think I could have done a better job with that. I understand it a little bit better now. And I would have done that.
That's cool because we have a whole episode on that coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll dig into that.
Reaching out to, finding those readers was just a little throwaway comment you made earlier. You didn't do that. Speaking to or outreach to this new readership, aside from trying to get all existing personal finance influencers to work with you and interviewed them and such. But do you think maybe some outreach to individuals and gaining visibility in that area earlier might have helped?
Yeah, maybe. The other thing is I have an ongoing business. Like I need to also sell my other books just as effectively. So at the risk of abandoning or not catering or coddling my existing readership base, that's a major risk. So the question that I have is, how do I expand or sit on the shoulders of these great entrepreneurs or have them help me as opposed to shifting audiences? And I got to do more study around fellow authors who have done this. But what's interesting is there's some or many personal self-help books that are ranked as entrepreneur books. But I'm like, really? But they're considered entrepreneur books because the author very tactfully served the entrepreneur and built a self-help for everybody, but sold it to the entrepreneur and is perceived as an entrepreneur's book, but it's consumed by everybody. So I don't understand that 100%. I understand it logically, but not on execution. And that's what I'm trying to figure out and do.
So talk to me just briefly, right now, what are you planning to do next? I mean, do you have a new set of goals or are you still kind of in the downtime afterward where you're just letting the dust settle or?
Yeah. So another thing that works really well is webinars where I bring in, I shared a strategy before, a couple fellow authors. So what I think the strategy is, and we're trying it out, is actually less about personal finance and more about good habits that personal finance are part of. So I just talked with Nir Eyal. Do you know him? He wrote the book Hook.
I do. I do know him.
So he heard about the money habit. He was connected to me through a mutual friend. We're actually speaking later today again. And he's like, oh my God, I want in on that. He's coming out with a new book that's launching next month. And I don't remember the title, but I remember he said the book moves people from limiting habits to liberating habits.
Yeah, he's been working on that book for a few years.
Yeah. So we were just talking last week and we're going to talk again today. How can we do something where the money habit and his new book, do you know the title of his new book? That's a shame I don't know it.
I don't remember.
Okay, well, I'll Google it real quick. But we're Beyond Belief. So we're coordinating that. And I think that's going to be an important strategy going forward is I want to get a constant stream of these webinars going because they're highly, highly effective in moving books, but also getting audiences in that never heard of you before and linking these books together. My dream is that his new book, Beyond Belief, has a frequently bought with the money habit or vice versa. The money habit is frequently bought to support each other. So that's what I'm moving toward.
So no set sales goals set for the next year or anything. You haven't set those yet? Oh,
actual numbers? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we want to do 100,000 books a year. That's the standard for Profit First. That's the standard for everything that we want. It's an unreasonable expectation. I would say most of my books have sold over 100,000 units, but only one, I think, is over 250 or more, which is Pumpkin Plan. And Profit First, the only one over 1 million. So 100,000 a year is a big ask. I will tell you, there's a text I wanted to read to you that I got that may be the indicator that this book, The Money Habit, has potential to be the bestseller, like Profit First. And it came in from Eric Peterson. So just to give context, Eric is a guy I know through a mastermind that we are in together. But he a jolly and wonderful guy. He doesn't just reach out to pat you in the back. It's always specific. So this text came in from Eric and he says, just finished Money Habit and had to text you directly. Absolutely amazing book. My wife is listening to audiobook now, and we have been having some great conversations about money since we both started. You're truly going to change lives with this book. Thank you. To me, when I got that text, I was like, from Eric, I was like, yes, that's what, if we can trigger that emotion in people and that conversation and that transformation for people, this book will be a book that can do that 1 million+ units sold.
I have some ideas, by the way.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah. I want to hear them.
Maybe I'll bring them up in context of these next few.
Yeah, let's do that.
I have some. I do really want. I know it's hard with the body of work that you have. You have all these books that are entrepreneurial focused, and then here we have the Money Habit. And I really do feel you need to lean into communities that you wouldn't normally lean into. And also, you said something on bringing it back to the Monday night reading, which we kicked off this call talking about. You started saying sort of a new mission, and you always talk about eradicating entrepreneurial poverty. Yeah. Then you said, I've never heard you say it before, but you said it last night, and it's like I think I'm just wired after 17 years to be like, that's what Mike says now, and just like click, and it stays in my brain.
I don't remember the exact word. Was it financial independence?
No, you said I want to eradicate emotional poverty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, okay. Because you have to bridge now.
Yeah.
You have to bridge it.
Yeah.
And so some effort has to be put into that. And I really feel strongly that there's a lot that you could be doing that's completely outside of your comfort zone, of where you sit with the people you know. And, you're a network. And I think if you want to meet that 100,000 goal, I feel like you need to be branching out from that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great catch. Yeah. I don't remember exactly how I said that, but I do feel that emotion building in me.
Yeah. I think it's connected to the way the book's promise is to never have to worry about money again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to wrap things up. We're almost an hour in.
Well, we had to. It's huge. And we have to break down. We're going to break down a bunch more. The next one, I can't remember what's the next one.
We're going to ask how to ask other authors for support. So
yes,
I'm really excited about that because I'm on the receiving side of this. And I would say 95 or more % of the time, it is the worst ask on the planet. It's like, not only do the people not get what they're intending to get, they burn a bridge.
Been there too.
Hey, as a listener to the show, if you haven't gotten The Money Habit yet, I'd really be honored if you check it out. Why not get it with the greatest book on the planet, Write a Must Read by AJ Harper. Also, go to ajharper.com. Last night, I experienced the power of her network. There was 60+ live people there attending live.
We had over 80 people.
Over 80. When I saw the number, it was merely 60, which blew my mind away. You can be part of that community. And it's authors supporting authors, which is extraordinary. This show is at DWTBpodcast.com. If you have a topic you want us to talk about, if you want to share a story like Kristen Wheeler did at the top of this show, email us at hello@DWTBpodcast.com. We'd love to hear it. As a grand reminder, don't market that book. Market the greatest book you can.